current ranks and insignia. Officers' uniforms for naval officers were not authorized until 1748. At first the cut and style of the uniform differed considerably between ranks, and specific rank insignia only sporadically used. By the 1790s, the Royal Navy's first established uniform regulations had been published. Ranks could be indicated by embroidery on the cuffs, by arrangement of buttons, or, after 1795, on epaulets. However, there was no consistent system, and insignia might differ between uniforms, and were altered several times. Sometimes there was no specific indication of rank at all. Midshipmen received a white patch on the collar in 1758, the oldest badge still in use today. The modern system of gold rings on the cuffs originated on the 11th of April 1856. For the first time these were consistently applied to all blue uniforms. On the 16th of April 1861 mates were commissioned as sub-lieutenants, and lieutenants were divided into those of over 8 years seniority and those under. In consequence, on the 5th of September 1861 the lower ranks rings were changed, and on the 25th of March 1863 too. On the 30th of October 1877 a lieutenant of 8 years seniority got an additional half ring of 3/16 of an inch, increased to 1/4 of an inch in 1891, and in 1914 became the new rank of lieutenant commander. In 1919 the Admiral's narrow stripe was reduced to half an inch, but as King George V had not approved the change, the royal family continued to wear the wider ring. In 1931 all the half-an-inch rings were all increased to 9/16 of an inch. The curl was introduced in 1856, but initially only the military and navigating branches wore it. Other branches had plain rings, from 1863 with colored distinction cloth between or below them. Until 1891 officers of the civil branches had single-breasted coats with different arrangements of buttons. Engineer officers received the curl in 1915 and all other officers in 1918. At the same time they also received other things such as oak leaves on the peaked cap that had formerly been the prerogative of the military branch. In 1955 it was announced that the distinction cloth worn between the stripes of officers of the non-executive branches of the Royal Navy was to be abolished, except for those who must be clearly recognizable as non-combatant under the Geneva Convention. The residual use of distinction cloth for non-combatants is therefore scarlet medical, orange dental, salmon pink wardmasters, silver gray civilian officers from Royal Corps of Naval Constructors, dark green civilian officers when required to wear uniform. From 1955 to 1993 there was a rank of acting sub-lieutenant, with the same rank insignia as a sub-lieutenant. Naval pilots in the Fleet Air Arm have wings above the curl. Other Fleet Air Arm officers had a letter A inside the curl. From 1795 rank badges could also be shown on epaulets. The system changed several times, but after 1864 was as follows. Sub-lieutenants and commissioned warrant officers wore scales and the same device as a lieutenant. Epaulets of the military branch were gold throughout with silver devices, while those of the civil branches had silver edging and gold devices. Instead of the baton and sword of foul anchor, civil branch epaulets substituted a star. Navigating branch epaulets were the same as the military branch, but with crossed plain anchors in place of the foul anchor. The epaulet stars had 8 points, quite unlike the Order of the Bath stars worn by army officers. In 1891 the admiral of the fleet changed to a crown above 2 crossed batons within a wreath, similar to the badge of a field marshal. Also in 1891 shoulder straps were introduced for use on white uniforms and on the greatcoat, and more recently in shirt-sleeve order. For these Commodores first class and above used the same badges on their epaulets, and Commodores second class and below used the rank rings. From 1926 only Commodores had 2 stars, other captains 1. Epaulets were not worn after 1939. In 2001, see the shoulder boards on dress uniforms were changed into currently warrant officers. Warrant officers first received the uniforms in 1787. The navigators, surgeons and pursers were commissioned in 1843 and their insignia are described above. In 1865 chief gunners, boatswains, and carpenters were given a single half-an-inch ring with the curl, though the carpenters lost the curl in 1879. In 1891 ordinary warrant officers of 10 years standing were given a half ring of 1/4 of an inch, with or without curl as above. In 1918, this ring, with the curl, was extended to all non-commissioned warrant officers. In 1949 WOs and CWOs became commissioned branch officers and senior commissioned branch officers and were admitted to the wardroom, but their insignia remained the same. In 1956 they were integrated into the line officers as sub-lieutenants and lieutenants, and class distinctions finally disappeared from the uniform. Reserves. From 1863 officers were commissioned in the Royal Naval Reserve. This was for serving merchant navy officers only. They had rings each formed from 2 1/4 of an inch wavy lines intersecting each other. The curl was formed into a 6-pointed star. The lieutenant commander's half ring was straight but only 1/8 of an inch wide. The Commodore had a broad straight ring, but the same star for a curl. Midshipmen had a blue collar patch. Officers of the Royal Naval Volunteer Reserve for civilians had single wavy rings 1/4 of an inch wide, with the curl a squarish shape. The lieutenant commander's narrow ring was originally straight, but after 1942 was waved also. Midshipmen had a maroon collar patch. In 1951 both reserves lost the distinctive insignia and got normal straight stripes like the regulars but with a letter R inside the curl. The two organizations were merged in 1958. In 2007 officers of the Royal Naval Reserve had removed the R distinction from badges of rank. Wrens. Officers in the Women's Royal Naval Service had straight rings in light blue, with a diamond shape instead of the curl. The Women's Royal Naval Service was abolished in 1994 and female officers now have the same gold rings as male officers. Royal Marines. Part of the RN as the senior service. The Royal Marines uses the same rank structure and insignia that the British Army has saved for the Field Marshal rank, and the Roman initials for second lieutenants to lieutenant colonels to distinguish them from the Army itself. The Major General rank since 1996 is the highest rank of the officer corps, but in the past, generals and lieutenant generals headed the corps, and from 1857 to 1957 the corps also had the unique ranks of Colonel Second Commandant and Colonel Commandant. Rank insignia are on brown and dark blue shoulder boards in all dresses save for the combat and barracks duty dress uniforms. From 1911 to 1957 the officer corps even included warrant officers and commissioned warrant officers in the same way as the RN. Full set of officer ranks of the Royal Marines, including historical ranks in italic warrant officer, commissioned warrant officer, probationary second lieutenant, probationary lieutenant, ensign, second lieutenant, lieutenant, captain lieutenant, second captain, captain, junior major, senior major, major, lieutenant colonel, 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 second commandant, colonel, commandant, brigadier, brigadier general, major general, lieutenant general, general.